Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in again. My name's Christian Smedberg and I'm again joined by Mr. Shawn Pogue.
Hello.
Hey Shawn. So
hey,
today we are going to do one of the more anticipated demos through this Facebook Live journey that we've been taking over the last month or two.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at Weinig's System Plus.
Yes.
Which contains what?
Basically three different areas. The Rondomat 1000, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
automatic CNC grinder,
right.
A new style of measuring stand that we have, it's called a digital OCMS stand, does way more than what our traditional OCMS stand does for us.
Right.
And basically a drawing system that allows us to create the profile and then write the CNC codes to come on over to the R1000 and generate the knife.
So three different components
Yes.
in the knife creation process,
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be taking a look at all three of them, right?
Quickly, but yes, we're going to see all three of them.
Yeah. Okay. I know. I know that we can't take all day, but hopefully we'll be able to hit the highlights of all three pieces in the system, and
Yes.
And we're going to be starting with the grinder.
Yes, sir. We'll get a knife going.
Yeah. Okay.
And then for all you guys out there, just so we don't bore you with watching some water splatter around, as that tool is grinding, we're going to break back and show you where the information came from or how it got to the grinder to be able to create the knives that we're going to generate.
So we're going to start this guy up and then kind of loop back around.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Perfect. Well, with that said, man, I'll let you take it away, all right?
Okay.
All right.
So, Christian, if you want to come over just a little bit, I'm going to show you, this is our actual production screen for the Rondomat 1000. But looking right here, I can open this up. I can see the actual picture. I hope you can see that as well. This is the knife that's being generated on the machine. We can back out of that. And then what I need to do is just go ahead and go to Start. Little flashing light there. And I simply hit the button, and it's going to take all of the information that we have put in or will be putting in and start working on grinding that profile. Now, to be clear, this is a resharpening machine. Also, it can grind completely from a blank, from start to finish. So either direction you choose to take, it'll certainly handle it. So right now it's starting the wheel up. It'll start the coolant. And we're going to get started there. So if you come over directly in front of the wheel, you can see a lot of what's going to be happening. So during this grinding process, we are making the entire sweep of our side clearances set together with our back clearances, the RPMs, the amount of speed that I want the wheel to move across the knife, and how much knife steel I want to remove from each pass. So we'll let Rhonda go ahead and do what she needs to do, and come on over here to the what we call Molder Master. This is kind of the beginning part of what we're going to be looking at. So just as a quick briefing, you can kind of see anytime that I pull up a profile, I actually plot the knives around that tool or what we're going to be generating. Also over here it gives me a list of all the tools that are involved in making that particular profile. So when we want to make a new one, that's what I'm going to take you through today. Just simply going to open up Profile Management. Can you see okay on my shoulder, Christian? Okay. And we're just going to simply hit New. Then we're going to create a new profile. I'll just give it a simple name. And a description. Okay, from that point, then I'm going to go and select a drawing, and all we're looking for here is the actual profile itself. This is going to be a bull nose, so I'm going to replicate the same thing that we're actually grinding on the machine that you're seeing, but I'm going to do it for the right side, so we'll have the possibility of two items running in the production screen. So just go ready. It imports the drawing for me. And sometimes you'll pick up a little dirt, like most CAD programs will do. It's not a big deal. We can just go in and clean that stuff up. and then bring that profile to the forefront. Okay. At this point, if we need to do any alterations to it, such as this is going to be running on the right side for me, so I can simply get into my CAD program, which is the AlphaCam embedded, and I simply want to mirror this profile. Okay, I'll highlight the whole thing, and it's asking me a couple of questions here. I just want to split it through there and bring it back, and that's the profile that I'm after. Okay, and just hit finish. Then I simply come up. I don't know if you can see this, Christian, but here's the profile that I'm beginning. It's got a little gray screen there. As soon as I hit adjust profile, it's going to do a little thinking there. I have to tell it what lines I want to use, and then boom, it installs that profile over here. As part of the name, I also have a small icon drawing. Okay, so we'll simply save that. The next thing I want to do is we have multiple machines down here. I have several machines on the floor. This is only just a few of them. But I just want to pick which machine I want this particular profile to run on. So I click the machine. As you can see, it gives me the configuration of the machine. And then I simply choose which cutter head I want this profile to run on. Okay. Once I've established that, I come over here to Tools. Okay. And I hit New. Knife. And hit New. And it gives me some options on creating this tool. So now I just want to derive contour. That shows us some of the junction points of the lines themselves. You can see these circles, and then I also have some snap lines that help me down here. So the first thing I want to do is it's asking me my first selection point, which is going to be the bottom of the profile. So I can zoom in there and make sure I'm nailing the exact point that I need. Click it. Okay, and then it's asking me for the second point, which is going to be the other side of the knife. Boop. And you can see the lines there is created the tool for me. So now the next thing I need to do is, as we move on down through this, there's some things that are automatically set up for us when we install the machine in the system, to where we can determine what our actual overlaps are here, how much we want behind the fence and or the table plate, below the table plate. So the next part of this is we want to, being a bullnose, you guys all know we've got to have a little blend coming off of there. So then we just simply come to the run out start point. We have a drop box to choose from. We can go tangential, radial, or nothing at all. So we just choose tangential. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what's going to happen on this line. So when I give it an angle, you can see it actually opens and blends that profile off at the junction point or the tangent point that we would look at. So we want to just simply do the same thing on the other side. Okay, type in the same thing, and we have our run out or our flare on both sides of that profile. So the next thing we do is a knife blank itself. It is already going to choose for us the proper size to either fill up the head, or based off of the value of that profile or the size of the profile, what exactly we need. Then we just simply choose, yes, that's the right piece of knife steel. Do I want high-speed steel or carbide? So we're simply going to go to high-speed steel. Next thing, we want to fill in the category. What type of profile is this? In this case, we'll call it a nose or bull nose. We hit apply, and then of course the next thing is if there is a storage location for that tool, we simply put that in. So the next thing is we want to establish the axial and radial points of this knife so that we know where to work from on the CNC grinder. So an axial value, I want to click here, puts the box around it. Radial means the minimum tool radius that would be generated, and we simply click on that. So looking at this, there is our knife being produced for that particular profile. If that's what we want, we simply hit OK. It's going to think for a couple seconds. This box over here will go away, and right there is our knife already generated for us. You can see it here. So everything about it, the minimum, maximum tool radius, and an axial value has been generated for that tool. Okay, so we just want to save. Then we simply come over here to tool management. Those are basically some three options that we're going to kind of live in. So we go to tool management. We can simply type in the parts of the name of that tool, and there it is. We want to highlight that tool, and there is the knife that's going to be generated on the R1000. Okay, but we do still have to put some tooling information in there. So categories. Again, if it's a nose, a crown, a chair, anything that we're looking for, we simply pop those into the category. The purpose of that is it helps us narrow down our search criteria later on. Description, what is this knife going to be? A 3/4 inch bullnose. Okay. Information, anything about that that would mean something to the guys on the floor, anything at all to help us identify it. So in this case, this profile can run multi-widths. Okay, again, if there's a location for that knife. Next thing we choose is the type of tool, whether it's a bore tool, hydro tool, or a power lock tool. And then we choose again if it's a profile or a straight knife, and it is a profile. So we put in a minimum RPM, a maximum RPM, how many wings are in that tool. The direction of rotation is automatically going to be propagated for us. Then we need to know the diameter of this particular tool we're running, the length of the tool that the knife is going to fit into, and what the hook angle of that particular pocket in that tool is going to be. Okay, so we save all that information. Now these boxes right here are things that we need to identify about that tool. So those are our minimum, maximum, and axial values again. So that's where we step over to the digital stand, and we have a whole lot more information that we can deal with on that. So I'm just going to pull up a tool here just to show you some of the items that we would be measuring from. So the tool we generated was called Weinig. So I have a search. I can just type in some letters. There's my tool. I just want to pull it forward, and there's the profile that we were just dealing with. So I have to give it some bits of information that the grinder needs. So I just want to come up and find that. We can set this screen up to be like a traditional screen we've seen before. We can have a crosshair point of reference, or I can even just come in and just simply put that dot on there, and I can roll these values around and find the tallest point of that knife. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just kind of rolling in and out of the screen, coming in and out of focus, so I don't have to worry visually if my eyes are as good as the next young guy that measures that tool. So I just get it to the tallest point and I hit save. Okay, the next thing is I'm going to come and measure all of my min, maximum, and axial values on this. So if you look at it too, I can open this drawing up. I can also increase the size of it, so I can see where exactly are these points that I'm chasing within this profile. Okay, then I can just exit right out of it. So maximum, again, we know that's where we are, so I can hit save. We'll go to a minimum value. That's going to be down here in the bottom. So it's pretty hard to see where I'm going to catch the absolute bottom of a radius. So at that point, we'll do something like this. And I'll just simply bring that point up until the line is gone, or we're blending with that center line. So there's my value. Again, hit save. Now, a cool thing we can do with this is I can now zero out from this point. You can see I'm going to come out of the screen, and I'm going to go out to the value of the radius of my bull nose. Okay, so I'll come back to 375, because we're 3/4 inch bull nose. Just put that number right there on 375. So now I can just simply push a button, and I don't know if you can see this over here, but I can make very fast adjustments just by holding these buttons down. It's a locking mechanism. Okay, when I get close on the screen, then I can simply bring it into focus and roll this up till I contact, and there's my axial value, and save. All right, I don't know if you heard things get quiet or not, but that means our grinder has finished its job of resharpening this tool for us. So it's a little faster than I am. So I just want to make sure that the numbers have come in over here, which they have. So these two items are linked and talking. So there's the numbers that we just generated from the measuring stand. So we just simply go from this tool right back into our Alpha Cam. All of our information is in there. I simply hit this generate CNC code. It starts doing its thing. It takes about 30 seconds, and then it'll give me a sign that says that it has been generated. Okay, so you can see this would just be a knife that we're going to resharpen, but each time we resharpen that, we still have to get the new information, just like we would with any other traditional grinder. But now we don't have to deal with a template. We don't have to roll around the outside of a template with a radius tracing pin and make a round area. This will actually be a very, very sharp point on there. Okay, so CNC code has been successfully created. There we go. We simply hit OK, and then come up here and save. As soon as I hit that save, that information is sent over to the grinder. So we can see it's even told us that the program that we asked to run and has been running is finished. It's complete. So now I just want to go look at this new knife that we've created. So I go to my tool bank. We have a very nice search feature. So I just type in and there's my tool that we just created, the information that I gave it, and I just hit this tab and bring that profile forward. There's the knife. Here's all the bits of information that we had to put in so that the geometry can be done properly through the machine with all its calculations. Okay, and then we just want to look at, it's called measured values. It brings up the values that our knife is going to start from, any of our axial values over here, and then I need to add what we call a recipe, and that is how much knife steel we're going to take off per type of wheel on the machine. There's 3 different wheels, a roughing wheel, a smoothing wheel, and then a finishing wheel, all carrying different grits, different RPMs, different amount of metal you want to take off. So we're going to go to our grinding programs. Okay, we want to import. This is where our recipes live. We'll just do non-jointed with a light grind. We can go non-jointed, heavy grind, jointed, heavy, light grind. Anything we need to put in there, we actually generate that stuff ourselves. So I just want to import that scheme, add it to that particular knife, and it'll live there forever. Okay? So if we wanted to do this from a blank, all we do is we simply check this box right here, and that's coming from scratch, and it's going to do the compensations that it needs to do, basically meaning each pass it's going to take off 0.010 of an inch. We're roughly going to be moving at 12 inches a minute, and that's taking a knife completely from a blank. But we would be doing a resharpen here since we already measured the tool. So hit grind. Now this is the recipe that we just created or we just pulled in. So looking at this, we have 3 roughing passes that we're going to make, the speeds that they're going to travel. We have 3 smoothing passes, which is our middle wheel, and 1 finish grind. And one thing I want you to look at here, Christian, is we have the capability of telling that wheel to spin clockwise or counterclockwise. So as a grinder guy, that means I'm power cutting. The wheel is going down towards the tool rest in the clockwise rotation. Counterclockwise, that wheel is coming up across the knife so that we get a smoother edge and there's less burr coming off of that final grind. So we basically can knock the little fine wiry edge off just simply with our finger, or typically we use a little piece of rubberized graphite. Okay, so this is where we would put in also the back clearance angles and the amount of side clearance we would like to have within this profile. Okay, once we've done that, we simply hit the grinding programs. That gives us an option now here of where to assign that tool. And I'm going to assign it to the right side. It's the only option it gives me because it already knows it belongs on the right side. Okay, so we simply come back to our control panel here, go into production, and voila, there's our knife we just created. So winding 11, it's our bull nose, it's from the right side. So you can see the discoloration here and here. I will simply turn this one off, turn that one on, put the tool in, and start the program. So since we have this shut off now, open the door and let you see the 3 stations on the machine. So these wheels will have different grits, different amount of material we'll take off per pass, and different speeds that we like to work with, just depending on the compounds that the wheels are made from. We can do carbide, we can do high-speed steel. It'll regrind all those profiles. Okay, it was quick and slick, folks, but I hope you get the gist of it. And what we would like to do is certainly invite you to come back for a personal one-on-one demo and get very, very deep into how this whole System Plus can provide for our business. Okay, thank you for your time, and we hope to see you soon. Everybody stay safe and healthy.